Good evening, everyone. Welcome to today's market debrief. First, we are looking on the screen is the S&P 500 index, and we are looking at as a proxy to the whole U.S. market. Okay, so I've mentioned last week that the U.S. market has definitely more room to drop. Okay, but thereafter it did a 2 days rebound. Alright, and as you can see, these two green bar days, right, on the 13th and on the 14th, right, the volume is actually lower, as compared to the drop. Alright, and then thereafter, starting on Monday, there is lots of volume, but the index, the whole US market did not move. Okay, looking at how the last 2 nights play out, most likely we will be seeing a few more down days in the US market. Alright, so as what we can see here in the futures right now is already down 34 points or almost 0.8%. Okay, so I'll be expecting further correction for the US market. Okay, as for the China market is down a little today, probably because of Asia market also not doing well, like in Singapore and Japan, or even Taiwan. Alright, so but the good thing is the past 1 week has been a nice rally, breaking above the 20-day and 50-day moving average. It's like trying to do between a short to mid-term uptrend. Okay, so hopefully over the next 1 to 2 weeks, right, as it or retraces, right, you holds, and then if you continue to break above the high of like 3,550, it's most likely going to bode well for the China market. Okay, the Hong Kong market, similarly, there's a few updates. Okay, so if today is a holiday, all right, so we can't really judge what would be happening. Okay, but we have to see tomorrow as it opens together. Okay, but if the US is down a lot, most likely they might be affected. Okay, and then if that's the case, right, it might further consolidate sideways for the Hong Kong market. Okay, looking at the moment, the crypto market is like having a very big red day. Okay, like down 10%, Ethereum, ADA, like all down. Most of it are like 20+%. Okay, so just to show, okay, this is the Bitcoin. All right, wait, let me take the other one. Okay, Bitcoin. Okay, this is roughly like a head and shoulder pattern. Okay, and with this kind of pattern, after it broke down like last week, started to broke down the neckline. Okay, so it started to crash down. Okay, so most likely I'm looking at the projection for here is roughly about 31 to 32,000 for the Bitcoin market. So at this moment, I mean, unless you are shorting, okay, best to avoid first, let it form a base before you start to buy into cryptocurrency if you are a fan of it. Okay, and for our Singapore market, okay, STI, ever since it started on the so-called phase 2 heightened alert, whereby the government are restricting, making it work from home the default, and there's no group outing, maximum is only 2 packs, government is also preventing us from dining, no dine in allowed. Okay, so we are not all of us have to like buy food and take away at home, or either cook at home. Okay, so with such a tightening measures by the government, the STI basically crashed down after the news. Since my debrief on the 13th, the news came out on the 14th. Okay, and basically STI start so-called like a flash crash or small mini crash. Okay, a lot of people just dump their shares, they are panic. Okay, but thereafter, when they see that this is really not that a big deal, it kind of like rebounded back for 2 days. Okay, so but today Straits Time Index have further selling happening. okay, which I think it doesn't bodes well, because as the days goes by, government keep on tightening measures. Like I think even today they talk about closing off parks, to people, for especially those that are crowded. All right, so I mean, if you look on the streets, there isn't much cars now, not much people are walking. There's no people at the malls. Okay, so definitely some of the REITs, especially the retail REITs, will be affected. Okay, and so that's why we start to see like Fraser Centrepoint Trust or Land Lease Trust. They all these retail REITs tend to drop more. Okay, so plus the home-based learning. Okay, home-based learning, work from home, kind of keeps most of the people at home. Okay, so the streets are empty, and we are not going to be expecting much so-called consumerism happening in the next 1 or 2 weeks. Okay, so the Straits Time Index is most likely going to further consolidate, or I would say do deal in its correction. Okay, and previously I already mentioned it's roughly a 10% correction, right? It's roughly going to hit about 2009. Okay, so we just I mean, stay out a little, just wait a while. Okay, I've been mentioning that the Straits Time Index has been is most likely going to correct. Okay, and I mean, we just stay safe lah. Okay, so what what could we do for our, I mean, in looking at this so-called COVID restriction, okay, and so-called mass testing by the government. Okay, they're really doing testing. Even today, I think they talk about Singapore Polytechnic. They are going to do a mass swab. Okay, which means to say, stocks like glove making, mask making, your PPE manufacturer is likely going to be in the forefront. Okay, so that's one. So if we take a look at UG Healthcare, I think UG Healthcare today had results out. All right, there's a business update for the first quarter. All right, so I believe their results quite good. Okay, up more than 100+% compared to a year ago. Okay, and the so-called 9 months is up like 100+%. Okay, so overall their results is, I would say, quite good lah. But I mean, it may be bad compared to the analyst report, so we have to compare with analysts. What had they recommended beforehand. So if it overperforms, most likely the share price is going to go up. If it underperforms the analyst, then share price is going to drop. Okay, so it doesn't mean it's good result means the share price will go up. All right, it will depends on the analyst report. So at this moment, looking at the share price chart, right, I mean, this is a very nice rally in anticipation of the results. All right, and this is also again, so most likely they are expecting it to burst or break out above this 74.5. Okay, expecting a good results to push the share price higher. So we can see that in the this type of movement, 20-day, 50-day, right, is quite strong. Okay, so I would say there is a further upside to UG Healthcare. Okay, and on top of that, we have our COVID situation in Singapore, mainly for Singapore. Also in Malaysia, also is also having I mean, there is some MCO happening, in states across Malaysia. Okay, so this is Riverstone. So having quite a similar pattern, bigger base formation. Okay, so I would say this type of movement, right, will tend to be looking more on further upside. Okay, for Riverstone. So I'm not too sure about MedTech. MedTech, mainly what I know before is they deal mainly in masks. I'm not too sure whether do they deal in PPE, because in terms of gloves, full protective gear, Riverstone and UG Healthcare are manufacturing those. And in terms of doing mass swab, you will need a lot of those PPE gears. So in terms of MedTech, if they do mask only, I think it may not be that well, but I mean, I have to go and look through medtech company profile again. Okay, I can't remember whether do they do the other PPE. But looking at the chart for medtech, I mean, it's been consolidating sideways in a much narrower band compared to Riverstone. Okay, so I mean, if you are looking for a breakout, you have to look at it to break above 115. Okay, so I mean, all have similar pattern, all looks like going to break out. As for the last one, Top Glove seems to be a little bit weaker compared to the other three. Okay, so I mean, it just started to have a move today. Okay, so you can, if you like laggards or you think you have more chance to move, but to me, I think I'll prefer the other three in terms of chart pattern. The other one that's proven to do well or perform well during that COVID situation is Sheng Siong. Okay, I think because they are the only one that's listed, NTUC is not listed. Alright, so Sheng Siong, after the so-called news of the so-called heightened alert, Sheng Siong had a very big rally on that day, on the 14th of May. Okay, so thereafter it's been resting, consolidating, or people taking profit. Okay, so I mean, the previous high was like 184. Okay, and I mean, I would say should be expecting that kind of price in the short term. All right, if the so-called COVID situation persists in Singapore. Okay, so if that's the case, I mean, air travel bubble has also been burst, or so-called, not really burst, they say delay again, so actually it's burst. Okay, and so stocks like, as I mentioned, I think 1 or 2 weeks before already, we should be expecting this air travel bubble to be delayed, so SIA Engineering, its sets are going to be weak, and it has dropped more than most of the people. Okay, so this two big rally, I think, is a kind of like a con for people. All right, today there is news, mainly it's a rights issue. Okay, SIA coming out a new rights issue, doing a mandatory convertible bond, zero coupon bond, at a price of $1 each. With an exercise price 484. So definitely they don't have enough money. Okay, like I mentioned, they are actually burning through cash at the moment. In fact, most airlines are. Okay, so SIA will not be doing quite well. All right, so I think we should be expecting further downside tomorrow, once the people digest this news. This is a rights issue. Okay, and on top of that, their results are not that good. Okay, so if you look about revenue, it's probably like 1/3 compared to last year. Okay, so that's SIA. SIA Engineering also not going to be doing well. So if you want to short, you can look to short. I mean, this looks like a reversal. Okay, you can look at if you have CFD, you can look to short SIA Engineering, and even probably SATS. Okay, so last week I also mentioned about you can short AEM. Okay, so I think SATS seems to be a bit stronger. Okay, this type of pattern is not like a good short to me. Okay, so SIA Engineering seems much better for a short position. Okay, like I've mentioned, this AEM. Okay, wait for it to do a rebound, and then as it turns down, right, you can look for entry to short. Okay, so this shows a setup to short AEM. For like mid to long term, we can look at ValueMax. Okay, ValueMax mainly deals in gold pawn shop, lending of money. So in terms of gold, I mean, if we look at the gold price, right, gold seems to be on a uptrend, or it started to turn uptrend. Okay, so I think few weeks ago I mentioned about this double bottom that they had done a base, and it's starting to turn back up. Okay, so you have broken above this so-called resistance. Now it's trading above, and then it's break this 200-day moving average. Okay, so at this moment it's going to consolidate for a while. Okay, and it's most likely it's going to turn back up. Okay, so I mean, if gold is going to go up, and I've also mentioned that because of inflation and money printing, weakening of the US dollar, gold price is bound to go back higher. Okay, so value max in terms of this mid-term to long-term, I would say they should benefit from it. Okay, and they are also currently giving about 5%, which they recently just XD. Okay, so you have to wait for 1 year before their next dividend. So they give dividend once a year. Okay, and they are giving about 5% dividend yield. Okay, so all in all, but their so-called dividend has been increasing over the past 5 years. Okay, probably because the gold price is high, so they are having a much higher profit margin. A previous strong stock seems to be breaking out. Okay, this is iFast. Okay, after consolidating sideways for some time, the past 2 days had a strong rally, breaking new high. So if you're doing like short-term trading, right, you look for a pullback. Okay, a weak pullback, to look for entry to go long on iFast. Okay, so for this is mainly for short-term traders. I've mentioned to watch out China Life. Okay, I mean the so-called downtrend gradient, the slope has been flattening the past two months. So-called, yeah, April, May. The past 1 month has been flattening. It's been trading sideways. So as I've mentioned, wait for probably one trust, one rally upwards breaking above this trend line, and then for it to rest, and then we can look for a position to go long. Okay, so you can watch out for this. And the banks in Hong Kong, like this Hong Kong and Shanghai Bank, HSBC is doing a very nice consolidation pattern over here. So you should be looking for a breakout above 49.50 cents. If it does that, you can look to trade this on a short-term basis. Bank of China have a much nicer or tighter pattern, but I would say because of this dividend here, right, it can go both ways. Okay, either up or down. Alright, and then okay, based on the stocks last week I've talked about, right, most of the stocks, because of the COVID, is basically broad-based sell down. Okay, so nothing really moved except for this Olam. I mean, despite the sell down, it recovered back higher compared to the rest of the so-called commodity stocks. Okay, so this is more likely for a mid to long term basis. I mean, if we are banking or believe that there is going to be a commodity run, which I believe there is, okay, you could probably look at Olam. Okay, and then of course Wilmar, mainly because they deal in a much wider range of commodity products compared to the rest, like Golden Resource, First Resource, which deal mainly in crude palm oil. Okay, so Wilmar, after this steep correction, do watch for a consolidation sideways. Something like this, as it correct, consolidate sideways, quiet, then we will want to look for a position to go long. So at this moment, Wilmar will just have to wait first. Okay, but Olam seems to be a better, in terms of chart position, seems to look better compared to Wilmar. I got one more thing to share. Is this Michael Burry of the Big Short reviews a 530 million bet against Tesla. Okay, so I would say we should be looking more downside, especially for the tech stock or tech stack sector. Okay, so this is Tesla. No, if I've mentioned over here, like 800 plus. No, it's like it's a 1,600 PE ratio. No, price to earning ratio. It's like it's a very big bubble that happened already. You know, and then after this drop, it has done this consolidation and recently broke this so-called trend line downwards. Okay, so Michael Burry news, right? This was when May 17. Okay, May 17 means it reveals their so-called position in the um, past 3 months. They usually do quarterly filings. So within the past 3 months, most likely he has shorted somewhere around like 700 plus area. Okay, so looking at this, right, I'm doing a projection. Roughly it might drop between like 300 to 400, you know, for Tesla over the next 3 to 6 months. Okay, so this is mainly the news that happened last week or a few days ago.